So what are the chances of us getting you back to campus to help Sarah give nicknames to all the current athletes?
Oh, we are very good at nicknames. I would love to bring my team back. They were very instrumental in keeping me sane during COVID when I was isolating for a long time as an emergency medicine physician. And so, I would love for us to go back, and I'm sure we could spend about 10 minutes with the team and get some great nicknames.
You'd be coming back as Dr. Big Cat.
Big Cat MD.
That's right.
Then Now Forever Ray explores a wide array of topics surrounding Bucknell athletics and the lives of Bucknellians near and far, with live interviews hosted by Senior Associate Athletic Director Joel Moersch. Then Now Forever Ray highlights the university's proud tradition of excellence in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in life after graduation.
Hey, Kristen, it's great to see you. Thanks a lot for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
So I was noticing, we were talking earlier, you're representing Bucknell there in the background. Tell us a little bit about that. Are you in your home office right now?
I am. I just got finished working a overnight shift in the emergency department in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, and got home around 8 o'clock. And I wanted to join you on the podcast, and my home office has a lot of Bucknell memorabilia in it, and Rick Chapel, always near and dear to my heart. Not as much as the softball field, of course, but probably more scenic, we'll say.
Well, we're working on that too, trying to make some big upgrades. I was catching up with Terry Grebe, and I heard that your nickname was the Big Cat. And I was just cracking up because she said that you and all of your teammates actually had nicknames. Where in the world did that one come from?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think at the time there was a football player, I believe from Ohio State, that they called the Big Cat. And I said, I want to be known as the Big Cat. And I think Coach Grebe said, "You're like a little kitten." I think that was her actual quote, and eventually Big Cat stuck, and then that's kind of how it grew. But most of my teammates called me Sandel. My last name is actually Sandel, but everyone pronounced it wrong, so that's just how it happened.
Perfect. So what were some of the other nicknames? Do you still refer to them, with your teammates when you catch up with them?
Yeah, we do. We had a fair amount of Jennifers on the team. I think it was the time and the era. I graduated in 1998, and everyone was either named Jennifer or Kristen at the time. And so we had JJ, Gombos, Snyder. We had Zerg, Nicole Zergabel, as well as various other nicknames. But most of the Jennifers went by nicknames because of that.
Nice. So the other thing that Grebe was saying, she was just talking about how you were tough as nails. She said if you weren't, if you weren't going through an injury, battling, you were all bruised up. You were the one, who was taking ground balls off you all the time. Talk a little bit about that. Did any of that translate into what you did post-graduation, getting into the medical field?
Great question. My initial position when I was in high school, I played second base, and our second baseman was Jennifer Gombos, and she was a year ahead of me. And so when I joined the team, they needed a third baseman. I had never played third. And as most of you know, in softball, third base, along with baseball, is the hot corner, but you play about, 40 feet from the plate. And so you got a lot of balls hit your way, and I had my fair share of injuries. And it is interesting. I spent a lot of time in the training room. Always a fun place to be. Spent a lot of time icing my ankles, and it is interesting. You learn a lot about the medical field when you are injured, and you learn a lot of medical terminology and understand injury and treatment and outcomes. And so, I think it definitely played a little bit of a part in my future career as an emergency medicine physician.
So talk a little bit about that career. You graduate from Bucknell. Did you know at that point, did you have everything lined up that you were going to get into the medical industry?
Yes, I was a chemistry major at Bucknell. I actually did not wish to pursue a career in medicine initially. I thought I was going to be a chemist. I spent a summer doing research with Dr. Keckler, who was a professor in physical chemistry, and recognized that my future was not as a chemist. I did not enjoy spending a fair amount of time in the lab by myself. I'm more of a people person. And so at that point, I decided to make sure that I had the prerequisites to go to medical school. Took the MCATs in the summer of my before my senior year, and then applied to medical schools. And fortunately, was accepted University of Pittsburgh. So I went right from Bucknell to University of Pittsburgh. Then, after graduating in 2002. Started a residency in Philadelphia in emergency medicine. And after that, I went to Reading, Pennsylvania, spent a lot of time in emergency medicine. This is actually my 20th year out of medical school. So I'm feeling old right now. But I think that the things that I learned at Bucknell, both academically and athletically, really prepared me for a career in medicine. I did a lot of teaching as well. And right now I'm running an emergency department.
So I was actually going to ask about that next. With your experience as a student athlete, the hard work you poured into that, the ups and downs, obviously, the camaraderie and the team building, has that paralleled in your workplace as well?
Definitely. The things that I learned at Bucknell, whether it was in the classroom or on the field, definitely translate into my medical career. Things like obviously teamwork in the emergency department. That's one of the things that's most paramount. As the physician, you're the leader of that healthcare team, and learning how to manage personalities, and also to manage that the goal is the patient in medicine, but obviously the goal is winning on the field, and they parallel nicely. As far as some of the other things I learned, time management definitely, making sure that you can safely run an ED, just like you safely manage your life when you're in college, managing between your academics, your athletics, and making sure that you get some social life in there as well.
So looking back on your experience at Bucknell, what was the most difficult situation that you had to go through? And does that even compare in the slightest to what you see every day, at work in the emergency room?
Yeah, there was definitely some difficult times. I think the thing that I was most gave me the most trepidation, we'll say, was when I had to choose whether or not I was going to stay at Bucknell to take a final in a chemistry class that was obviously huge in my major, or go to the NCAAs and play at one of the games. And I obviously I know that softball was not going to be my life and my career, and my career in medicine would be more important. And so I actually was nervous, and I spoke with my professor, and I told her the situation, and she was nice enough to make some accommodations, and I ended up going and playing the game, and then coming back and taking the final at her house.
Nice. Hey, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, and I think that speaks highly of the balance that Bucknell allows you to have between academics and athletics, and allowing the student athletes to pursue both at the same time, knowing that most of us are not going, pro in sports. Most of us have gone, in future, endeavors and been very successful. And I think Bucknell allows you to pursue both aspects of your life.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's one of my favorite things about the Patriot League, is that true scholar athlete that's just never going to go away. Speaking of that, it fascinates me. You have this high level of academics, and so many incredible student athletes across the board, just not at Bucknell in the Patriot League. And then you win 98 Patriot League Scholar Athlete Award of the Year What did that mean to you?
No, I mean, it was an honor. It is great because I think the Patriot League and Bucknell as a university really celebrates that balance of athletics and academics, and really wants to make sure that while we do look at our athletics and want people to succeed, we also reward people for doing well in the classroom as well. And the Patriot League, that's what it was founded on. It was founded on that scholar athlete tradition, and I think it's carried on throughout the years. As I remember, the Patriot League looks much different than it did when I was in school. Schools come and schools go, but Bucknell has been one of the originals, along with a few other teams, and I think it really shows when you look at the number of academic All-Americans that come out of a school like Bucknell. Some people don't even know where Bucknell is, but it's always one of the top schools as far as graduation rate and the number of academic All-Americans that come out of Lewisburg, Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. So I talk about this on the show quite a bit in Paying It Forward. You've been amazing for the softball program. I know I've been part of a couple different email chains with you and Coach Caffrey and how much she appreciates what you do for the program. What does that mean to you to give back, to support this generation and future generations of Bucknell student athletes?
Great question, and I think it starts when I was in college. When I was at Bucknell, there were former student athletes in the softball program that were generous to us, whether it was giving time, whether it was giving their house to have us for dinner on road trips, and doing things to pay it forward. And we were able to experience that as student athletes at Bucknell, and I think that set the tone for what we should do going forward to make sure that we are providing the same type of support for the student athletes of today and the student athletes of tomorrow. And it is very important, and it's not just monetary donations, it's the time, it's spending time with the athletes. I know that former coaches and Coach Caffrey have hooked me up with some athletes that are interested in medicine or interested in careers in science, and allowing me to provide my experiences as a student athlete and the trials and tribulations sometimes of a career in medicine, not only as a person from Bucknell, but also as a female student athlete, especially in the kind of navigating the world of science and of athletics.
I really appreciate that answer. The last question that I have for you, when you look back on your time at Bucknell, what's the single greatest memory that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think it probably would have to be winning the Patriot League championship. It was interesting, as some of the people that are familiar with the softball program know, Coach Grebe was the first coach of the softball program and had coached for 19 years before we were able to win a championship in 1997. And our game, I think we made her wait. We made her sweat it out. Our championship game, we came out of the winners. We were in the winners bracket. We ended up losing the first game to Colgate, and then we had to play the deciding game. And we couldn't do it in 7 innings. We had to take 19 innings. So 19 years, 19 innings, and we finally were able to come out on top. And having the thrill of being with your teammates and working so hard, and finally breaking through and doing it not only for your teammates and for Bucknell, but also doing it for Coach Grebe, who'd been such a big part of our life, and seeing her emotion after that win and being able to celebrate that, and we'll have that for the rest of our lives. And it seems sometimes you think, oh, it's just one moment, it's one game, it's one thing you do, but I'm still talking about it 25 years later, and I can still remember, those last innings and last outs and how we felt afterwards, and and how that will always play a part in my memories of my awesome 4 years at Bucknell.
Yeah, that's a great story. I hadn't heard that one, so I appreciate you sharing that. So what are the chances of us getting you back to campus to help Sarah give nicknames to all the current athletes?
Oh, we are very good at nicknames. I would love to bring my team back. They were very instrumental in keeping me sane during COVID, when I was isolating for a long time as an emergency medicine physician. And so, I would love for us to go back, and I'm sure we could spend about 10 minutes with the team and get some great nicknames.
You'd be coming back as Dr. Big Cat.
Big Cat MD.
That's right. Well, Kristen, we sure appreciate it. I really look forward to meeting you in person. Again, we can't thank you enough for everything that you do for the program, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too, Ray Bucknell.